Appropriate psalm to be recited just to bring back the memory of Jerusalem per se, etc. It begins, for example, in the English with the words, I rejoiced when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. And it deals with the rebuilding of the temple, which would suggest the destruction of the first temple or destruction of the second temple, even though it's ascribed to David, the Song of Ascent, Shir Hamalot David, to David of old. But there is a wonderful verse that's found in this particular short psalm, which has the phrase in Hebrew, Shalu Shalom Yerushalayim Yishlayu Ohavayach. The translation in English, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper that love you. It deals with the Jerusalem yet to be built. For the sake of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good. That's how the psalm ends. It deals with probably the rebuilding of the temple, possibly the second temple, not the temple after the Roman destruction of the year 70. What is interesting is that sentence number 6, from the point of view of Hebrew, Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim. The word Sha'alu means to ask, Shalom means peace, Yerushalayim is Jerusalem, and then the sentence ends with Yishlayu, which translates in English, may they prosper, they that love you. I guess what's interesting is if you look at the Hebrew, that's what I have in mind, the word Sha'alu, Shalom, in Yerushalayim. To begin with, the word to ask in Hebrew is Shin Aleph Lamed. If we were to conjugate that verb in Hebrew right now, it is an Ayin Aleph verb, which means the Aleph is going to play a role in its conjugation in present tense. Sho'el, like Shomer, Sho'elet, like Shomerit, but then Shomerim, you cannot have Sho'elim, and now you have the knowledge, the Aleph will have to replace the Shfana with one of the Chatafim, normally the Chatapatach. So the masculine plural, the word to ask, is Sho'alim, the feminine plural is Sho'alot. Then when it comes to the infinitive, you follow the example of Shemor, and so this would be She'ol, no problem. And then you add the Lamed, you have the Shva cluster, you break the cluster with a Chirka and the Lamed, and Lish'ol is to ask a question. And the word for question in Hebrew is She'elah. Now watch what I'm about to do. The word Sha'alu. Sha'alu is not spelled Sha'alu is spelled like this if it's the past tense, they ask. Sha'alu spelled with a patach, the chata patach that follows, is the commanding word, imperative. Sha'alu, ask for, giving a command. Sha'alu. One is spelled with a kamatz, we don't know the past tense, and one is spelled with a patach, and so you see the two spellings, but they're pronounced the same way. So what am I getting at? What I'm getting at is a verse that says, ask for the peace of Jerusalem, or ask for its bondi, or something of that nature, and the very words that are used in Hebrew all seem to have the same three letters. The word sha'alu has the shin and the lamed. The word shalom, peace of, has a shin lamed vav mem. The word Yerushalayim has a shin lamed mem at the end. So the writer, the psalmist of this particular verse, plays upon the shalom that's found in the word Jerusalem, in the sha'alu, the shalom, and Yerushalayim. And then the word that translates as may you prosper, yashalayu, the yud, the shin, the lamed, the yud, and the vav, has a shin and a lamed there as well. It's just an interesting play upon Hebrew, how psalms are put together, how poetry is written. You use the same letters, or most of the same letters, and you come up with the phrase. And then at the very end is Laman Beit Hashem Elokeinu Avaksha Tov Lach. For the sake of the house of our Lord our God, do I seek goodness for you, or I seek thy good, suggesting that Jerusalem stands out because of the Beit Hashem, the house of the Lord, which is found only in one place on earth, on Mount Moriah, on Mount Zion, in a place called Jerusalem. That is an appropriate psalm for Yom Yerushalayim, the Day of Jerusalem. And then there is one other reference that caught my eye in this particular psalm, and that is referring to the tribes of Israel. Let me see if I can find it. I'm looking at the wrong psalm right now. In Psalm 122, you have the following phrase. In English, I will rejoice when they said unto me, let us go up to the house of the Lord. The word is Beit Hashem, house of the Lord. And then we're told our feet are standing within the gates of Jerusalem, how Jerusalem is built as a city that's compact together. And then we're told something about sentence number 4. When the tribes went up, even the tribes of the Lord, as a testimony unto God, to give thanks to the name of the Lord. Shiftei Yah, the tribes of the Lord. What you don't have here are the tribes of Israel, suggesting that these particular words probably were not written by King David himself. King David, after Saul, you have David, and David is monarch of all of Jerusalem. Then you have his son Solomon. With the death of Solomon, you have the divided kingdom. The divided kingdom, you have the kingdom of the north and the kingdom of the south. Jerusalem can only be important for the kingdom of the north, of the south, kingdom of Judah. So it speaks here of the tribes of the Lord rather than the tribes of Judah, because of the division of the tribes of Israel. That's how you read the Torah, or how you read Psalm. You see different signs that are found. Some of the verses deal with before, and other verses deal with after. If you have that moment, look at Psalm 122. It deals with the past, it deals with the present writing of the psalm, and it deals with the future. And the future is right now. The whole issue of Jerusalem deals with the city and deals with the Moriah and deals with the rebuilding of the temple and stuff like that. So we'll put together in 9 sentences. Okay, with that said, let's take a look at the verbs. I'm going to do a skip and read with you. I'm going to look at the verbs. I want to give meanings to them. We're then going to go into not the readings, because that deals with the verbs. I want to do the pages that follow the readings. We will then do the verbs, then we'll go back to the readings. But first, the verbs themselves. The verb to come in Hebrew is bet aleph ba, the shoresh of that verb. And this we will do when we see it later in the lesson. Bet vav aleph. The verb to come in Hebrew is an ayin vav verb. The other verb that's listed in this particular list is the verb to live. Notice the shoresh as I give it to you. The bet, the vav is the second root letter. The gimel, the vav is the second root letter. These are the ayin vav verbs. Ayin vav, second root letter vav, where in the conjugation of present tense, the vav is missing. And in addition, this is an ayin vav and lamed aleph verb. So the lamed aleph is going to play a role in the conjugation of the verb somewhere in the past, the future, or in the infinitive. Anyway, a verb that has bet vav aleph is the verb to come. The verb to come, as she translates the verb in the present tense, masculine singular, aniyatahu ba, and feminine singular, aniyati ba'a. Ba'a, you hit the last syllable. Ba is masculine, present tense, singular. Ba'a is feminine. And the infinitive is lavo. Lavo. This we will see when we go into the verb conjugation. Next word is gar. Gar is the verb to dwell or to live. Masculine singular of the ayin vav verb gar is gar. Feminine singular is gara. The plurals are garim and garot. And the plural of the word ba is ba'im and ba'ot. But that we'll see formally later. Lagur is to live. Next word, the verb to run. The shorish of that verb is resh vav tzadi. She's giving us here 3 ayin vav verbs. Bet vav aleph is to come. Gimel vav resh is to dwell. Resh vav tzadi is the verb to run. And you'll notice that the ayin vavs, the vav letter drops out, as we notice, in the present tense. So it's aniatahu ratz, feminine singular is aniati ratzah, and the plurals are ratzim and ratzot. The next 2 verbs belong to another family, the lamed aleph family, mem tzadi aleph and kuf resh aleph. Let me write both those verbs down.
So
These,
the first three for the ayin vav.
the first 3 verbs are ayin vav verbs.
Ayin vav.
Yes. I'm not going into it formally because it's introduced later with exercises, etc. But if you want me to repeat it, she's giving us 3 verbs. The shorish of the verbs, bet vav aleph, gimel vav resh, resh vav tzadi. What they all have in common is the second root letters of vav. They're known as ayin vav verbs. Ayin apoel is the vav letter. And the thing you notice immediately, let's take the verb bet vav aleph, is that the vav is missing in the present tense. Ba is the masculine singular. She gives us the feminine singular, ba'a. And I'll give you now the plural, ba'im. And the kirikud mem for the son of the masculine plural. And ba'ot, the vav tav, son of the feminine plural. Then the infinitive is the word vo. Add the lamed, pointing with a kamatz. If it's the lamed is pointing with a kamatz, if affixed to a monosyllabic word. Normal pointing of the lamed is with a shvana. If there's a shva cluster, it's pointing with a chirik. If there's the original letter that follows with one of the chatafim, the lamed takes over the sound of the chataf. That we've done a number of times already. Anyway, we're just concentrating on the ba and the ba'a. But as long as I have all of them on the board, the verb to live, aniyatahu gar, aniyati gara, and the plurals are anachra temhem garim, anachra temhem garot. And right after class ends, I don't know, but no, Baruch walks with me. But my good friend Yirmiyahu, he's got his jacket on, he's got his aim, he's out of here. So Yirmiyahu, know that verb, rats. I am running. Aniyatahu rats. That's running, yeah, zoom out of here. And ratzah's feminine singular, ratzim and ratzot are the plural forms. Okay, in addition, this unit is going to deal with the ayin vav verbs, and it's also going to deal with the lamed aleph verbs. And so we have 2 lamed aleph verbs that are listed. One is mem tzadi aleph. Mem tzadi aleph, the verb to find, F-I-N-D. And the other one is the verb to read, kuf resh aleph. What they have in common, the last letter is an aleph. And then the conjugation, masculine singular is motzei and motzeit. It should be motzeit, but the 2 segos collide together and it becomes motzeit. And when you look at it, it looks like a long sere. First syllable is CV. The second syllable, let's write CV properly, is CV, C with a long sere, CVC. It could also be motzah. I don't think she writes motzah. She probably writes motzeit. Yes, she does. Now that verb to find is not the same as another verb, yud tzadi aleph. Yud tzadi aleph is a peyud verb, which means to go out. Mem tzadi aleph is the Hebrew word to find. And then what about the word motzi? Motzi lechem min aretz. Well, this has nothing to do with the verb to find. The motzi word is a yud tzadi aleph verb conjugated in the binyan called a piel. The root of the word motzi, bring forth, is Yud Tzadi Aleph. The Yud Tzadi Aleph up there in the present tense, Yotzei, means to leave, to exit. You go to a public building or public hall in Israel, you have a sign above the doorway that says Yetziah. It's the first thing you do in Israel. You go to any public place, make sure you know which door has above it the word Yetziah, exit, in case of emergency. That's the verb to go out. And then when you use the verb to go out in the so-called Binyan Piel, you're causing something to go forth. Hence the Motzi Lechem, bringing forth the bread for the earth. But Motzi, the word to find, is Mem Tzadi Aleph, Motzei, not Motzi, Motzei.
So the word to find is what?
The word to find in Hebrew is Motzei, which she's introducing. The word Motzi is the verb Yud Tzadi Aleph conjugated in the Binyan Piel. We haven't even gotten there at all. Then there's another word that comes to mind, matzah. All of a sudden, is matzah related to that? The answer is no. What you have in common is a mem tzadi. The matzah is the unleavened bread. Does it have to do with earth and bread for the earth? If you want to stretch it, maybe, but the root is different. Anyway, you can go on and on with this, I guess. Okay, the word koreh now. Koreh is a verb to read. When I ask you to read in class, Yirmiyahu Atah Koreh that you read, you're reading the Hebrew. Same thing with Baruch. Feminine singular would be koreit. Then the plural forms are koreim and korot. And here's where I find a problem with people. If I take that verb, koreh, the feminine singular is koreit. Now, when we learn the unit later, it'll be koreim. You pronounce the word as koreim, not koreim, and certainly not korim. It's koreim. CV is the first syllable, long vowel open. The shva is therefore not a shvanach, but a shvana. A shva under a letter following a long vowel is not going to close the long vowel. It's a shva that has a sound. So it's C-ayin, and then the aleph, the long chirik, and the mem. C-ayin, C-V-C, ko-re'im, ko-re'im. Hardly anybody says ko-re'im, except me. They will say ko-re'im. They literally will close the syllable after the resh. That's wrong. If you're going to close the holam after the resh, then you got a long vowel closed syllable that needs to be accented. But what are you going to do with the next syllable, which has the long vowel closed? What about its accents? So it's not really a shvanach there. And then there's a tragedy of people reading the word as korim. Korim. They don't even bother to say the aleph.
To read with the crow or something like that, no?
How's that?
Like to read, the crow or something like that.
The verb means to read, yes.
But so that's what word are you saying?
What I'm saying is when people read this word, Yirmiyahu, they have to be careful. Read the word as ko-re'im. Sound is found out in the resh. People have a tendency of reading it as kor. They blend the resh to the cholam. That's not correct. Or they go the further problem of not even bothering to say the yud, the aleph. They read the word as korim. They blend away the aleph. That's how you hear people saying korim. They say korim. The word is not korim, it's kore'im. That's what I'm emphasizing. It's the same word, but how people are reading or pronouncing the word. Especially as you begin to study your Hebrew, know how to make that distinction. And then that word koreh, to read, has religious connotation. When someone reads the Torah, it's not easy to read the unvocalized Torah script. Even if you read unvocalized Hebrew, the Torah script is a little confusing sometimes. So one who basically reads the Torah is called a Baal. A Baal is the Hebrew word for master in this case. Baal is also a husband. Baal is also an owner. But Baal Koreh. A Baal, notice I'm hitting the first syllable. Short vowel open gets accented. Baal Koreh, a master reader. That's the honor you give, the title, to one who reads the Torah. He's a Baal Koreh. And when you prepare your Torah portion for a bar mitzvah or whatever for an aliyah, if you want to read the Torah itself, not someone reading for you, you go over the vocalized Hebrew multiple times before you face it unvocalized in the synagogue when the Torah scroll is open.
What does Shaliach Tzibur mean?
What's what?
Shaliach Tzibur, prayer leader,
Shaliach means a messenger, a public messenger.
and then Zibur.
Tzibur means public,
Oh,
community. Shaliach Tzibur. You're referring to whom as a Shaliach Tzibur? One who's reading the Torah?
or the lead, no, leads the services.
One who leads the yeah, one who's one who leads the prayers. Shaliach Tzibur. One who's, I'll get to that word in a second. Anyway, you go over the Torah reading multiple times, which you have to do before you see the Torah opened. And if you see it for the first time, you're going to have a problem. And a problem is a smack on the back. You read the word wrong. There are two readers alongside you with an open vocalized text who have the Hebrew vocalized. They're able to read it better than the unvocalized. You make an error, you get corrected. It's embarrassing if you have to make so many errors. You prepare before. The word shaliach tzibur, the word shaliach, the root of that word is shin lamed chet. The verb means to send, S-E-N-D. Conjugated in a poel form. Poel is the conjugation. Will be sho le. Final letter is the laryngeal, and the stolen patak. Sho leach. The word ends with a lamed ayin verb. A lamed ayin or lamed chet. We have the stolen patak phenomenon. Sholeach, the feminine singular is sholachat. And then sholachim and sholachot. The plurals are regular to a shleimim verb. Okay. When you conjugate it in the regular form in the present tense, it's called a poel. There's also a thing called a pa'il, which means your verb is going to have that vocalization. Taking the shin, the lamed, the chet, following this pointer here, shaliach, any verb that's put into a pa'il form is not active. It's receiving the action. If I'm saying ani sholeach, I am sending you, ani sholeach otcha, then you represent my shaliach, my messenger. A messenger is passive in Hebrew, one who's being sent.
So essentially, the Shaliach Tzibur is Hashem's messenger to the
Messenger of the community, right.
from Hashem.
However you want to see it.
Who would it be from them?
Okay. Oh, for the people, they select you, Baruch, to lead this congregation.
That's true.
Okay, but if you want to see that God works through the people, fine. Let me just get through some things right now. That word shaliach could be anything, whoever sends you. Tzibor, shaliach tzibor. Tzibor is tzibur. Tzibur. Tzibur is public, the community. So what you have in a synagogue, Jeremiah, is that anybody and everybody is capable of leading the services, but they have to be prepared. You don't need any ordination or any sacrament.
Like a lay person.
Yeah. Which fits perfectly with the
It's
Protestant.
my understanding though, for the Shelley, to attain that position in Orthodox synagogue, one, you have to be a Talmid Chacham, have a beard, and to be married.
Fine. There might be conditions of who the hell you're going to be a shaliach. He's trying to say you have to be an observant Jew, you have to have a beard on your face, you have to be this and that. Okay, that's depends.
Talmid Chacham.
Okay, well, all right, but that's determined by the tzibur. What about if you have members of the tzibur who says, I don't agree with you? Then what happens? Then you have the congregation split. Let me just get across something that's very important. Any words that have the pa'il form are receiving the action. And so I think of the word shaliach. I also have another word in mind, another word in mind, another word in mind. Mem, shin, chet, ma, she, ah. What? Mashiach. Jeremiah, from this moment on, you change. Mashiach is not an active agent. Mashiach is receiving the command. A Messiah is not one who does action, but one who is set into being active. Does it mean that? No, it does not. Mashiach deals with the verb to anoint. The Hebrew root, mem shin chet, means anointment. And all kings of ancient Israel were anointed into office. So it's not unexpected to not see the word Melech, king, and Mashiach, by the king. Cyrus of Persia is called Mashiach in the book of Isaiah. What's he, a former predecessor of Jesus? No, stupid. The word Mashiach means anointed into office. Whatever the office is. Can I give you a name that you all curse? But not in this classroom. President Trump is called a Nasi. See that word Nasi? Has a kamatz, has a long kirik. That's the marker of anointed.
That means president?
Yeah, well, Nasi is one who's carried into office, one who's voted into office. You don't come into office by your choice. You're voted, you're carried into the office. So the word Nasi, the word Mashiach, the word Shaliach are all pa'il forms. And when it comes to the Messiah, well, King David, I guess, was Mashiach. Solomon was Mashiach. And for our Christians, the title of Jesus on the cross is not King of man, but of the Jews. King of the Jews. King of the Jews. Christianity cannot be what it is without the Jewish King Jesus. You realize how Judaism has invaded the New Testament? You don't have anything but Judaism there. Baruch, I'm serious. 1/4 of Latin America is knocking on the door. What are you going to do to them? Shut them out? Once they find out they got Jewish DNA from conversos, and the Africans are a little different, only they claim we're the original ones anyway. I find this to be exciting. What gives it away is the Hebrew. Mashiach does not mean someone who does the action, but someone who receives it, the anointed one. Oh, people, you got to continue with your Hebrew. Only thing is the Hebrew will end in a few more weeks, and that's about it. But if you want, we can have a Hebrew session during the summer if you want to continue.
If we can, that'd be cool.
Well, it's not going to be that easy. We have to find a place first of all. You're going to have to put some money into the whole thing there because I have to give some time to it. But if you're willing to do so, we can run a class a little bit.
How do you do it to the college or what?
The college would not have a Hebrew 3 class.
Oh, okay. Well, we still need to get to the book. I mean, this is where we're at.
If you want to have a class, I'll gladly sit down with you, but it has to be a few more people. You're not going to be able to afford me that way. I don't charge that much money anyway, but it's,
So you want to do something on the side and for a certain fee?
how's that?
You want to teach us additionally for the summer for a salary? Sort of
Yeah, I teach you, it's going to cost you money. Oh, you think about it. Somehow there'll be another, maybe the synagogue. Okay. Okay, people, let me end it right now. So what we'll do, let me just look ahead. On Tuesday, Im Yirtzeh Hashem, we will continue not with the Hebrew grammar.
Thursday, what are we doing?
Oh, wait a minute. Why do I have confusion? No, Thursday we have a class. I'm sorry. Thursday, we're going to continue with the next pages. We're not going to do the readings that's found on page 129 and 128, the bottom there, and 130 and 131. We'll pick up on Thursday with the Bakal letters, the Bet Limit. All the stuff we've already covered, I'll review it with you on page 132 and following.
132?
Yes. And then we'll eventually get to the verbs. And then when we finish the verbs, we'll go back to readings that we're skipping right now. All right. Why do I confuse Tuesday with